Airing on offthehooksports.com, your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at offthehooksports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
Here we go. We're off and rolling with Amanda LaFrada and Ethan Stone. I'm Dave Hooker with you, talking some Tennessee and SEC athletics. Oh, Ethan, be careful with your screen there. It looked like you about fell down. Please set your notifications on Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Set them on so you get the latest content. Monday is a big day of content for us. So go to YouTube and subscribe there, where you can get sneak peeks of stuff that we're going to release later in the week. So we certainly want you to check that out. That includes John Adams, Josh Ward. That includes a couple of Tennessee football players, and Jacob Warren and Cooper Mays. So this is a big day, and you're going to get a sneak peek with your YouTube subscription. That is all completely free. Amanda, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm well. Ethan, how are you?
I'm also well.
Okay,
I got a pretty good sleep last night. So
I did. Do you ever sleep too much? I felt like I actually for the first time in a couple of weeks slept too much.
Yeah.
So anyway, I struggle a little bit with that, but I'm battling back. And then Father's Day, scale of 1 to 10 on your all's Father's Day. Anything special happen? Ethan, 1 to 10, thumbs up. Amanda, 1 to anything special?
I went to Firebirds. It was really good.
Yeah, my son got COVID, and so that was pretty interesting. So my mom was afraid to come in the house, drove down from Knoxville, didn't see my son. And I'm not going to get into the COVID thing, but let's just say that being a dad and on Father's Day and basically spending it by yourself is not the way to go. So, but that's so okay.
Sad.
We're postponing that. Our Father's Day is going to be this upcoming Sunday. So
mine was a couple of weeks ago. So
okay, yeah. You just got to pull the switcheroo. Tennessee pulled the switcheroo, as we're going to get to some talking Cruton right now, right off the top of the show, because there was a lot going on. Tennessee with 8 official visitors, but many more came in, a commitment and a big announcement today. Talking Cruton brought to you today by our friends at Zool Beer Company.
Talking Cruton.
Am I right or am I right or am I right?
Who's on Tennessee's board? The names you need to know, exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
And Amanda, they've got the fantastic rhymes like Dimes beer. It is a beer that has won a worldwide award, not regional, not Tennessee, not even national. Bigger than that. Zool Beer Company also has a great place to hang out. They've got new beer and merch all the time. Right downtown, the environment is fantastic. What would you like to add before we talk about Tennessee's newest commitment?
Try the sours. We have something called Magic Wines, which is a strawberry cheesecake. It's fantastic.
That does sound good. All right, Ethan. So a bit of a surprise commitment pickup. With all these guys that we were following, the 8 official commitments. Thought we might get one to pop after that from a news perspective, and Tennessee might still get one from that. I've got the 3 most likely I'll get to here in a moment, but then kind of out of left field, a young man decides to commit. Talk about Tennessee's newest running back addition to their 2023 class.
Yeah, so Will Stallings, 2023 running back from Las Vegas, he had offers from Utah State, Arizona, Pitt. Not huge schools, 3-star guy, kind of a bruiser back. It's been all over the place, but as of right now, we played at Bishop Gorman, I believe, in Nevada. And, it's a good pickup just because Tennessee had yet to add a running back to their 2023 class. You've got all these, headliners like Caleb Herring, like Davis, like obviously Nico, but you don't have a running back. And even if, running back has become kind of expendable over the past couple years, it's a good idea to have one. And Tennessee's probably not going to stop at Stallings. Obviously, you got local prospect and Deshaun Bishop. You got Caleb Jackson, Jeremiah Cobb out of Alabama that are still well within Tennessee's radar as of right now. But it's nice to get the first one off the board and say, okay, we at least got one guy we can develop into something big. And from what I've heard, he could be a really underrated prospect for Tennessee.
No, we'll see. And I think he certainly could be a significant pickup. And the other cool part about Josh Heupel's offense is he's able to use these receivers, running backs as receivers, and they're very multiple. I mean, if you've got the athletic skill, you're going to find a place to play in this offense.
It's especially considering you talk to his athletic ability. He played linebacker at Bishop Gorman too. He was a gridiron guy. He played both sides. And for him, just watching a little bit of his highlights, obviously I hadn't really heard too much about the guy. I knew the name before. I don't think he had taken an official visit to Tennessee recently. He went to one of Tennessee's camps a while ago and I guess just decided now Tennessee is the place he wanted to be. But he played linebacker at Bishop Gordon. He was, being on both sides of the ball like that and watching the tape, he's a good tackler. He could be a legitimate prospect for Tennessee, not just at running back, but wherever they want to plug him in. I would think he stays at running back just because, like I said earlier, Tennessee does not have a commitment there as of right now, but we'll see how things unfold.
Yeah, and then obviously, depending on when you might be listening, this decision may have come forth. So let's spin it forward just a little bit if we can. He is planning to announce at 1 o'clock Carnell Tate, the highly touted receiver out of IMG in Florida, really down from what I'm told to Ohio State and Tennessee. I know he had a top quattro, but the fact that Amanda, Tennessee is in the running for this type of 5-star receiver is a sign that Tennessee is in far different shape than they were a year ago. A year ago, they're not in the running for a young man like this. Now, suddenly, they are in the running for one of the top receivers in the nation. Why? Because they've got on tape that their offense works and is fast. And they also have a quarterback in Nico Amaliava that is just kind of sitting out there and recruiting for Tennessee. But even if he doesn't recruit Tate directly, Amanda, still you have the ripple effect of getting one of the top-rated quarterbacks of all time committed to you in the recruiting era, basically. So, yeah, I mean, Tennessee, from a recruiting perspective, is more along the lines of would you like to come here as opposed to will you please come here? And that's a very different sales pitch.
Absolutely. It's not great for rivals of Tennessee to see this blossoming, this recruiting thing blossoming under Heupel. Like I said, I don't like Heupel very much, but that's just because
But why don't you? You don't like him because he's good, though. That's the difference.
I'm a rival fan, and and I don't like seeing it, to be honest. But I understand it and I accept it. But honestly, if people forget, Derrick Henry was also in the running to land at Tennessee. He had the Vols up there with Alabama, and he ended up choosing Alabama. So all I'm saying is that it's not a guarantee, if a big time name is interested in Tennessee, they're not guaranteed to go there. But I think it's been a while since we've seen such a big time, wide receiver.
Well, and the other thing we have to remember too, as we spin that around, is a lot could change. I mean, we're talking about June being a big recruiting month, and it is, and you're going to get a lot of commitments, but they're still not tied to that commitment until the early signing period in December, Ethan. So, I mean, just ask Brian Harsin at Auburn. I mean, a lot could change during the football season. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just because it's commitment doesn't mean it's a Vol quite yet.
Yeah, I would even go further than the signing, and I'll bring up Caden Salter, who's currently
Oh
playing
yeah.
football at Liberty right now. A lot can happen between the commitment, like you said, and actually getting to the football field. I feel like for the most part that doesn't happen very much. Like if Carnell Tate were to decide at 1 o'clock today, I want to play at Tennessee, a 5-star guy like that that's put this much time into it, unless something crazy happens, and it could happen from both sides. It could happen from Tennessee's perspective or Carnell Tate's perspective. I would guess he would stay there, at least make every attempt he could for these top tier guys that I feel like would be on their radar. Who knows
The
where
mo-
Tate's going to go today? There's no way of knowing. Obviously, he would be a huge pickup. I mean, you bring up Derrick Henry a little bit ago. I'm not saying he's going to be on that level, but he is a very, very skilled receiver. I mean, think of everything you want: route running, speed, he's got it all. And that would be an enormous pickup for Heupel, and to add to a receiver core that is really desperate to get that next guy after Cedric Tillman leaves.
One of the things I like about Tennessee's recruiting, they're in IMG with Tate. No matter who he picks, they're definitely in there. Have a good connection with the school. They're going to Bishop Gorman to pick up their latest commitment of running back Will Stallings Jr. I like that because Bishop Gorman is just a very, very talent-rich school. And then they are leaning some on the junior college ranks, which always can be hit or miss. But over the weekend, since we last spoke to you, wide receiver Malik Benson said he is down to 5 schools, and that's significant because you're right up there with Tennessee, Oregon, LSU, Georgia, and you would think of he would be a guy that would have an immediate impact. Now, yeah, if I'm Alabama, I've got certainly plenty to pitch him. If you look at the many transfers that have gone to Alabama and had success immediately there, but Tennessee's going to pitch its offense. This still seems like an uphill battle just on the outside looking in to me, Ethan. But if Tennessee's able to land him, that'd be a strong pickup, needless to say.
Yeah, I mean, let me be brutally honest. When Steve Wiltfong, the national director of 27 Sports, gives a crystal ball for the other team or a team in general, he's probably going to go there. And I believe 2 days ago he gave one to Ohio State. He flipped it from Tennessee to Ohio State after the commitment video was done. It was just after after Tate said, it's finished. We just got to put it out there, and you'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Right after that was when Wiltfong changed his guess. That doesn't mean anything really, it's a guess of a guy, but he's usually pretty spot on. He's usually right. And so, you know, whether it's something tangible you want to think about, and like you said earlier, the decision may be out before you're even listening to this, but it does seem like an uphill battle. I will agree with you there.
I'm Amanda, I haven't gotten your take. I know your take on NIL, but I haven't gotten your take on the transfer portal before we wrap up this talking Cruton. I haven't gotten your thoughts on the transfer portal because Alabama has certainly succeeded there, and I think that's been pretty darn impressive, to be honest with you.
I hate it. I'm not gonna lie, I hate it.
You hate the transfer portal.
I don't like it. It is,
my goodness,
when there are essentially no rules to it, and you can bounce anywhere you want to and immediately start if you want to. I don't know how coaches put up with that. I don't know how you plan your next, year in football if one of your big guys, says, well, I don't get along with my roommates, I'm peacing out. That's not, there's no stipulations. There's really no rules. You can just leave if you want to. And I understand people's arguments that coaches can do the same thing. I just think there should be criteria behind leaving. Like, I don't think you should be able to leave just because, you don't get along with your offensive tackle. I think you should have to stay there and battle it out. That's not real life. You don't just get to up and leave when something small doesn't go your way. If something happens in your family, if something happens logistically or what have you, then I feel like you should be able to transfer under those those roles. Or even if your coach leaves, I feel like you should be able to transfer then. But just this transferring just because you can, I don't understand it.
I'm going to. I want to dive into that. But first, let's wrap up talking Cruton. The 7 officials that were in: Ricky Gibson, C.J. Allen, Raquezy McElderry, Colby Young, T.J. Searcy, Stanton Ramel, and Cam Selden. I'm told that Searcy, Ramel, and Selden, Tennessee is in the best shape with out of those groups, out of that group, and I wouldn't be surprised to see any of them commit in the near future. Okay, but here's the problem. It's kind of like somebody that has a drug addiction, so to speak, Amanda. In the end, that is work with me, Ethan. Ethan's laughing at me, but it's like somebody that has a drug addiction. It's not the drug addiction that is the actual problem. Something is causing the drug addiction. So what's causing the transfer addiction? What's causing the transfer addiction is the fact that the NCAA did not have rules in place. And when they did have rules in place, it would take forever to get some sort of waiver. It would take forever to get through that clearinghouse process. So what you're saying philosophically, I get it, but there has to be a lot fixed at a fundamental level with the NCAA or whoever is running the sport before we just say, well, transfers are bad, don't do them.
I agree. That's why I think that there should be criteria set up by the NCAA to determine when you can and when you can't transfer, or if there's some kind of penalty for doing so. That's like, with your analogy, that's like saying everyone, that's not drug addicted, and the only reason they're not is because there are laws in place that say you shouldn't be drug addicted, or they put laws in place that say, heroin is illegal, so there will be massive consequences. I'm not going to do heroin just because I don't want to do heroin. That doesn't mean that I only don't do it just because the laws are in place. I'm not a heroin addict because I don't see the point.
Well, I agree with that. I think the point I was trying to make is there's a root cause to why somebody who would want to do heroin. Maybe it's mistreated by daddy. Maybe it's some sort of tragic thing and that happened in their family. Nevertheless, the point being, the NCAA didn't do anything to police it, so that's why it's just crazy. And until that changes, then I don't think we can talk about some real serious legislation, because who's going to implement it? I don't know. I heard no one. I heard Amanda's dog bark. So if it gets much louder, you know what we're going to do is we're going to throw that little Ava something from Craft Treats. Go to crafttreats.com and get crafttreats.com for full spectrum CBD treats that contain minor cannabinoids that increase the benefits of CBD. Great for situational anxiety, things like storm anxiety, car ride anxiety, and more. So if I hear that dog again, they work. Yeah, I got a picture from you. I got a picture from you over the weekend that Ava was chill.
She did not care. She just did. She did not give a flying crap.
She did not give a dog stuff.
No, she did not.
Yeah. Okay. So coming up next on the program, quick break, and then we're going to discuss the kind of the hierarchy of coaches, I would call it. Great piece by Matt Hayes. Where does Josh Heupel fit into that? We'll discuss that, and also some more recruiting news as we continue to roll on. Stay tuned. This is a presentation of Off the Hook Sports. Set those notifications on. If you're listening, go to YouTube right now and free subscription. There's a video already up as of Monday early morning that we'll distribute later in the week, but you can get a sneak peek just by subscribing to YouTube. Stay tuned. More after this. Back in 2 minutes.
To own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Is your dad's nickname Lazy Boy? Then get him out of the chair and onto the grill with a Green Mountain Grill from the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply in Ottawa. On the Green Mountain Grill, you can smoke, grill, sear, and just warm up some food. Versatile with style, that's the GMG. Go by Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply in Ottawa, right next to the Midnight Oil, and get your dad the grill to last a lifetime, a Green Mountain Grill. This is Steve Rain. I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ottawa. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
They also have 3 grades of ethanol and non-ethanol fuel there at Steve Race Midnight Oil. And we have a dog sighting for those watching. Is that Ava? Is she on the crab treats or not?
She's here. She is not on the crab treats. But the garbage men are outside of my house right now, so.
Oh, so we need to keep her calm. All right.
We just have to hold her.
We'll do that. And as you may know, Amanda's cat has car ride anxiety. So, but not in a car from Viles Automotive. At Viles Automotive, their mission is to be the automotive home of drivers in the Knoxville area. They provide a vast selection of used vehicles, exceptional car care, and customer service with a smile. Their local dealership keeps a great stock of used cars, trucks, and SUVs in inventory. Competitive prices they offer on every pre-owned model for sale on their lot. You won't find a reason to visit any other dealership. They've got financing. They've also got the car service and repair work that is absolutely fantastic. So Saturday Down South had an interesting piece from one Matt Hayes that I wanted to get to. But first, let's set up the poll question today, as Ethan Stone is in charge of that. We have a poll question each and every day that we'll post on Twitter. Would love your interaction. Soon to be streaming, so we'll be able to get your interaction even faster. All right, so poll question today. What do we got going on, Ethan?
So I had one that was perfect for Friday, and then we didn't do it. I can't remember why, and I can't remember it. So I thought of one about 5 minutes ago, and it's not as fun, I will admit, but it is still a poll question. And it's like being 100% real, not just believing in speculation. Do you think the Peyton Manning curse is real, is an actual thing? And it's just a yes or no.
Okay. I have a strong feeling on that. Amanda,
do it, because it's not very good. I had a better one Friday and we didn't do it.
No, I think the poll question's good.
I think it is too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know, I like it.
I don't believe in curses. I don't believe in being cursed. I don't think it's real, but I think it's fun to talk about. I think it's hilarious, coincidental, but I don't think it's real.
She pretty much just said everything I had to say. I think it's kind of silly. I mean, I know that Peyton Manning is a guy that people think sits in an ivory tower and doesn't care what people think about him. He actually does, and everybody does to some extent. But I mean, he is one that particularly will keep track of what's being said about him in the media and such. And I'm sure that he's aware that that's a topic of conversation. I think it's a shame. I think it's stupid. I just think, no. I mean, that's just, there's no Peyton Manning curse, for goodness sake. That's about the silliest thing that I've ever heard. Let's phrase it like this when we post it. How about this?
Yeah.
Do you believe at all, maybe in all caps, in the Peyton Manning curse? So the Peyton Manning curse, for those that don't know, when he shows up at an event, Tennessee tends to lose. Do you think there's anything to it, Ethan Stone?
Ironically, I do. Like in social settings, I say, "Oh yeah, the Peyton Manning." In private, absolutely not. I'm with you guys. It's not a thing. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. It's not a thing. Curses. I mean, I don't know. I feel like curses to some extent could be real. Not in a football setting, not in a sports setting. I don't think, except for the Cubs not winning a World Series. That was absolutely a curse, but we'll gloss over that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a curse or not, but when Tennessee was playing Florida, they lost a lot during the Peyton Manning era. Well, it's because Florida was uber talented, and as talented as Tennessee was in that period, Florida for the most part had more talent, better talent. There's just no question. I'm sorry, go back and look, and so then that leads to maybe him showing up at a sporting event and they lose. So no, I don't believe it. So how are we phrasing it exactly? Do you believe in the Peyton Manning curse at all?
Yeah, I said I'm typing it right now. I said, do you believe at all that the Peyton Manning curse is real? Should I use found?
But to be honest, Peyton Manning's performance did significantly go downhill against Florida.
I don't think I don't know. I agree. I don't think he played well against Florida. No,
I think he
completely
cares
agree.
too much. I think he just cares too much in big games like that.
Well, I don't think that was just him. I think that was I think it was pervasive throughout the program. I remember defensive tackle Mondre Dickerson. I said, "What's the difference between Florida week?" And he didn't know he wasn't supposed to say this. I think he was a junior college transfer, maybe not, but anyway, he was fairly young. And I said, "What's the difference between Florida and Florida week and any other week?" He said, "Well, the coaches just get so tight." Well, he wasn't allowed to talk to the media for the rest of the year. So that's not what he was supposed to say. But I do think it's a factor, guys. I think that Tennessee in that time period got tight. I think that Peyton Manning was one of those players. I think in 98, when they won, they needed a lot of help. Fumbles inside the 5-yard line when Florida was about to score. But yeah, I do not think they play loose in that game across the board. I don't think it's just Peyton Manning. So yeah, I do want to turn to before we get too far. I do want to turn to a column that Matt Hayes had at Saturday Down South, and I thought this was pretty strong. A power ranking of every SEC coach. So he did remind us where we were last year. We thought that Ed Orgeron was on semi-solid ground, although I heard some things at SEC Media Days that I was not so sure. 2 years after winning a national title, we thought surely he's on publicly. We thought he's on good ground. Dan Mullen was getting ready to go into a season in which he had won 3 consecutive New Year's bowl games. We didn't think he would get fired. Gus Malzahn at Auburn. We thought that everything was just swimmingly there a couple of years ago. That didn't happen. So yeah, it is one that is very, very flexible. Yeah, and when we start to look at the coach, the safe ones, the safe champions, as he calls them, no doubt is Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. He's got another safe one as Mark Stoops. Those are the three safe ones because they have produced over time. Any disagreement with that list or anybody you would include in that list, Amanda?
Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin.
I would agree with Amanda. I would have him in
Yeah,
that list.
I agree with Dave. I would not agree with that. I think he's a great coach, not within those top three, I don't think.
I
Wait,
don't
so
think
you
he's
would
that great. I just
Well,
think, I think he's great as far as offensively. I think he's a great-minded coach.
yeah.
I just think he's safe, is what I'm saying. At Ole Miss, I think he's safe.
Yeah, and as far as proven, if you want to take some of his offensive coordinator days, I didn't think of Lane Kiffin initially, but I would have him in that you know what you're going to get type. Now, if part of this parameter is that he's going to stay around a while, well, that then he's not in that list. But as far as proven commodities from a coaching perspective, if that's what this list is all about, I would have him in there. Then we open up the door for guys like Brian Kelly, who has gotten into the playoffs with Notre Dame, who's now at LSU. But he's got a separate category that says big money equals big expectations. And that is one that is pretty interesting because that includes Kelly. And Kelly at 9.5 million. Now, wow, Lane Kiffin is making 7.25 million. Sam Pittman is making 6.2 million. I like all three of these coaches. But when you get that raise as Kiffin and Pittman have done for success at their schools, or you're Brian Kelly and you come in and you get that kind of money, you better be ready for some pretty high expectations, Amanda, from day one.
Absolutely. I don't think Brian Kelly's a very good coach. I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's safe at all. I think he's gotten some big money, but I just don't think he's proven. I mean, with Notre Dame, it's hard to fail with Notre Dame. I mean, it really is. It's Notre Dame. So I think it's pretty hard to fail there. I think another coach that's going unrecognized is maybe a safe bet is Jimbo Fisher, especially with his recruiting style, getting as many players as he has, getting 5 stars. I think he has 8 for next year, this season, getting all of that. And he beat Saban last year, and he was the first former coordinator under Saban to ever beat him. He was the very first, and Kirby Smart did it later that year. But the very, very first, I think that's Texas A&M recognizes that. I think he's pretty safe.
To a lesser extent, Jimbo Fisher scares me a little bit like Lane Kiffin. Now, he's not as antsy. I don't think he's going anywhere, but he always flirted with other schools while he was at Florida State. And when Florida State didn't give him exactly what he wanted, he up and bolted. So I will tell you that I've got a little bit of that concern for his longevity. But not near to the extent of Lane Kiffin. I mean, Lane Kiffin would put on LSU gear and go to Baton Rouge right now if Brian Kelly decided to leave. So, boom or bust, Mike Leach, Shane Beamer, and then Josh Heupel, Billy Napier. Now, but the boom or bust with Mike Leach, what's a boom at Mississippi State?
Yeah.
10 wins?
A boom is getting Mike Leach. That's a boom at Mississippi State.
Yeah,
so just hold on to him.
I don't know
just
how you define
press conferences.
that.
Just
Right. I mean, well, I agree. You're entertaining and you're relevant, and you're Mississippi State because of Mike Leach. I mean, if he averages 8.5 wins at Mississippi State, Ethan, that's a good run in Starkville.
Yeah. I would think so. Playing against SEC West opponents every single year, that's going to get pretty tough. I would agree 100% with you. It's hard to judge where you'd put Leach. I'd almost put him a rung above because I agree with you. Now, they may have formatted it like this just for simplicity's sake, just so not too many are in the same category. I really hope we get to it, so I'm going to bring it up. Beamer being above Heupel in this scenario is kind of absurd. Do you guys not think?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't understand why he's other than maybe alphabetical reasons, but
Yeah.
no, he's I mean that's all that I can think. I mean, Beamer to me is the opposite of Boomer Bust. I mean, because I believe he's going to be a good coach, not a great coach at South Carolina. I believe the same thing I believe with Mississippi State. There's a glass ceiling there. So I'm even going to lower the Mississippi State line. If you average 7.5 to 8 wins at State or South Carolina, you've had a good run there.
Agreed.
Anybody disagree with that?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
No.
now Heupel's the ultimate boom. I don't
Yeah.
see the bust coming unless things changed at Oklahoma and he went back there. But Josh Heupel is interesting because he's in the boom or bust category. I think he could boom. Now, I really do. I think he's a solid 10-win coach that could knock on a championship door depending on what happens places like Georgia and Alabama. I really do. But I don't see a bust. I don't see the bottom falling out. Now, again, if things change at Oklahoma, the administration there, that's his home. But every indication I've got, he's not going back there. Could he, if the administration changes, that would be a bust. I'm not seeing, other than that, I'm not seeing the bust. Man, I don't see where Josh Heupel suddenly becomes a bust. By the way, he's a value at $4 million a year for the record.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's one of the most dynamic coaches in the SEC right now, if not in the nation. And players get hype for him. I know that's really sad, like hype for Heupel, but still, like it's players do. Players want to play under him. They like him. I think he doesn't get enough credit for how well Tennessee is doing as far as recruiting goes. People are constantly looking at the university rather than look at the coach. He's bringing them in. I mean, he really is. But I thought we were talking about like for sure bets as in the university was going to keep them on, not as far as them deciding if they're going to be there or not.
I think it's kind of all the above. I mean, I think you
then I take
factored that
Kiffin
in
out. I take Kiffin out. Then I take him out
because he could leave.
Yes,
Yeah.
I just thought not getting fired. I think
No,
as far as not on the hot seat.
No,
The way this is formatted is like it's a little strange how they formatted it because they have like 1 through 14 as if they're ranking them, and it's like they did that first, and then decided let's put subheadings on it. But some of them that are close, such as Beamer and Heupel, are in the same thing here, so it makes it a little confusing. So I get what you mean there.
You understand our confusion. Okay, so
Yeah.
Billy Napier. It says potentially a terrific hire. I like Matt Hayes a lot. So I think he's got a little insight there. Strong organizer, and I think that he is a guy that is a proven recruiter. The thing that I always argued at Florida is the talent was there. You want a special offensive mind at the head coaching position. They had that obviously with Steve Spurrier, a once in a generation type of offensive mind. I think that they had that with Urban Meyer, who really essentially kind of ran the old school wing T in a modern spread format. I thought they had that with Dan Mullen, who was a quarterback whisperer, but that thing went all crazy sideways fast.
It's rough.
So, yeah,
rough.
Billy Napier does not fit that type of candidate for me. But again, I go back to I think Matt has some insight here. If he's organized, if he's a proven recruiter, which is pretty easy to do at Florida, then he'll have success. Is he the I say the same thing about Billy Napier, but before like Tennessee hired Butch Jones. And I know that this sounds crazy, but at the time I said Butch Jones will get them to 9 wins or so a season. Will he get them anywhere beyond that? I don't know. And I was proven to be right. He got them around that point. Now I didn't know he was also a sociopath. So there's that. And so that ended up creating his downfall. So but I say that about Billy Napier, not a known sociopath. the best of our knowledge. And I say that about Billy Napier. I think he gets them to 9 wins, Amanda, but I don't know if he gets them into a real championship contender with Georgia and Alabama. I have trouble projecting that for anybody.
I think you're right on that. It's going to be hard for anybody to get to the Georgia Alabama level unless you just do it one time like LSU did, where they just had a dynamic team and just incredible, and they did it the once. They even struggled doing it, but they did it. I think
and by the
would have been.
By the way, did you see where somebody listened to our show and stole our verbal jabs, slight serious analysis at Harsin? I think they threw him at Amanda first, and on Twitter,
Of course.
and it was
Of course.
6.5 wins before Brian Harsin is the head coach. We said that.
We did.
You can't take our content and then reposition it upon us at social media. We said that first. I'm serious. I think 6.5 wins will Harsin be the head coach at Auburn is a for real conversation that we.
But who else are they going to get? Who else are they going to go after? That's going to be like, you know what? Yeah, Auburn sounds great. I don't know.
I don't know, but I don't know. But as a rule, I hate that answer to if you should fire your coach. You should have, as a rule, you should have the confidence that you're going to go out there and get somebody great.
Auburn is a pretty terrible job.
It is. Butch Jones would fit in well at Florida, considering, the sociopath dynamic there.
Right.
Bring Butch to Auburn.
Aaron Hernandez.
All he needs is he needs to keep with the crew cut and then grow it out in the back. So be like a crullet. And so he's got a crew cut and a mullet, and he fits right in the state of Florida.
No, he needs jorts.
Jorts and a crullet.
Jorts.
Then you're down.
Jorts are that's a necessity. And maybe Crocs, just FYI.
Yeah, and certainly maybe some Crocs. I know it's super crazy hot, and if you need some immediate attention with your HVAC unit, City Heat and Air, and let me tell you something about City Heat and Air. For over 50 years, they've been doing it, and they've been in the Knoxville market. That tells you something right there. Over 50 years, there are others out there that'll advertise like crazy. You'll call them for some sort of $29 service or something along those lines, but in the end, what you're going to get is what it's worth, and that's less than $29. At City Heating and Air Conditioning, they want to take care of you, and they make for lifetime customers with each and every visit. Honesty and integrity are the cornerstones at City Heat and Air. So go to cityheatandair.com, City Heating and Air Conditioning. We certainly appreciate their patronage on this program. All right, so the rest of the list, we mentioned Brian Harsin. Matt Hayes goes so far to say his Harsin only survives if he wins 9 games. Well, they are not going to do that. Elijah Drinkwitz at Missouri is on the hot seat, and Clark Leah at Vanderbilt is theoretically the worst coach in the SEC. Congratulations, Clark. You're still making $2.5 million. Maybe he puts on spandex and flies around at night as Superman and saves people. And who would you most want to drop from the SEC if you could drop? If you had to drop Missouri or Vanderbilt, who would you drop?
Vandy.
See, everybody always says Vandy. I'm absolutely going Mizzou.
I do.
I just do not understand what Mizzou brings the SEC. When Mizzou and Texas A&M moved over, I was like, okay, Texas A&M makes a lot of sense. If you've ever been to College Station, just the vibe that it gives, it makes a lot of sense. Columbia does not. They're not really that great at anything. Vanderbilt at least has the baseball program, and they used to be pretty solid at basketball as well. I get football is king in the SEC, and Vanderbilt has never really been on top there, while Mizzou has had some success. But, I mean, if you look at the overall body of work at the athletic program, Vanderbilt's better than Mizzou, at least recently. And I don't know, there's something the academics bring and something the baseball team being good brings. And it's in the South, at least, Missouri isn't really every time I think of Missouri, I think of Big 12. Every time I think of Texas A&M, I think of SEC. It's just how it works.
Yeah, It looks really bizarre to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Disagree.
But
Disagree.
Amanda, with Vanderbilt, you have academic reputation, and they were a good football program 100 years ago. That's why Tennessee hired General Neyland, was to beat Vanderbilt. It wasn't to beat Florida, Georgia, or Alabama at the time. I mean, that
Big deal. Big
so
deal.
You're booting Vanderbilt.
I say kick them both out.
I think
I'd be down
Go
with
get
both of them.
Clemson and Florida State.
I don't think this has to be either or type
Oh,
of thing. I say just kick them both out. But.
I don't understand everyone's appeal to want to be in the SEC, especially when you're not great, considering that you're just going to face more competition. It's going to be rough. It's your injuries are going to skyrocket. It's not a good fit for most schools. That's why I don't understand the Texas Oklahoma move. Why would you do that when you're probably not ever going to go to the college playoff again, at least for the next 10 years? Why would you do that? You can't even get there in the Big 12 right now. Why would you move over? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Stay in your lane. Stay where you are. I don't know how I transitioned into that. However, Mizzou, keep Mizzou, because at least they're halfway decent. Every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut. Keep Mizzou. Vandy, never. It's never going to happen. Everybody move on. It's just not going to happen. Go play with Harvard and Yale and all those schools where you belong, and just get out of the SEC. Just get out. Just get out.
Looking for a great lunch place, then that's Big Orange Phillies. If you're listening during lunch, get to Big Orange Phillies. They know it's tough to get out of the office, so they can take care of you. You can grab something cold from the fridge or order hot food from the counter. And if you got a little bit of time in the evening or this weekend or during the day, maybe you got the day off, they got darts, billiards, live entertainment, karaoke. They're awesome. That's Big Orange Phillies. So tomorrow on the program, we're excited to have Ben Joyce on. And you ask why? Well, because he has some free time. But the other reason is because I am
hurtful.
That was.
I didn't mean
it
unnecessary.
I didn't mean it like that.
I hope we still have him on.
Yeah. He's going to be back from San Diego. I didn't mean it like that. He's going to be back from San Diego into pitching camp. But I think the kid's incredibly cool because he's helping out with Children's Hospital, which is very influential in my life, which we'll get into a little bit tomorrow. Not about me, but what they do for kids is just unbelievable. And he's involved with helping raise money. And like I said last week, if you were listening, I sense that, he could have the sort of impact on that type of facility that, if he lives up to his billing and he's throwing 105 miles an hour in the majors, money's not going to be a problem if he decides to, which I'm not telling him he has to. It's his money. But it sounds like he's already willing to donate his time. And I have a feeling there'll be more because of the way things went down. So see, Tennessee fans, you make Knoxville and East Tennessee a better place when you just do what you do, and that's enjoy athletics. It's part of the thing I really love about towns in the SEC. So involved with sports. So again, we will get to him tomorrow. I want to thank Bassey Lawn and Garden. Bassey Lawn and Garden Center in Cleveland, Tennessee, open 6 days a week year round. EETC certified technicians and state-of-the-art service facilities with parts and service for over 28 brands. That's free delivery on new riding units as well as free equipment training. So check them out. Bassey Lawn and Garden, 20,000 parts in stock. Toro, count on it, the largest Toro dealer in Tennessee, and 0% APR for up to 48 months for 3.99% for 60 months. Toro, count on it. They're awesome. Thank you, David Bassey. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Depending on where you're listening, you need to go. When and where you're listening, you need to go to YouTube, subscribe for those early sneak peeks of content that we've got coming. Also, full coverage of Tennessee football recruiting as the Vols look to really lay a strong foundation for a 2023 class. For Amanda LaFrada and Ethan Stone, I'm Dave Hooker. Have a fantastic day, evening, whenever you're listening, night sort of thing. This has been a production of Off the Hook Sports.